This episode of Selling with Social is being brought to you by STAR, the Sales Team Alpine Retreat, a Frost Sullivan Executive MindXchange taking place this February 7th through 9th, 2018 in Lake Tahoe, Nevada. And now to Selling with Social.
What reveals a lot about who's going to make President Club can be even deemed by just looking into somebody's calendar.
Hey y'all, welcome to Selling with Social, the podcast that helps marketers increase marketing qualified leads, sales reps to shatter sales results, and sales leaders to grow as leaders. Each show, we interview sales, marketing, and social media practitioners, leaders, and influencers to help you connect, close more deals, build stronger relationships with clients, and improve your sales productivity. I'm Mario Martinez Jr. You're now listening to Selling with Social. Bob Wonderlin, I am very excited, my friend, to have you on Selling with Social. Thank you so much today for joining me on today's podcast.
Oh, you're welcome. It was a pleasure to be a part of it.
Well, let's see. Thinking a little bit about your background, you are one of the national sales trainers for Windstream. You've got a huge job training. You've got, I think it was 5,000 sales reps in the organization. Is that right?
2,500.
And you're one of course, the elite, the handful, the hands chosen that are out there helping to train salespeople on how to become better sellers. So I don't want to give too much of your background away, but do me a favor. Tell our audience, we've got sales, we've got leaders, we've got marketers, we've got business owners. Tell them a little bit about yourself, and then we'll get into a little bit about the topic today.
Sure. I started actually in the late 80s. I'll date myself there, the copier sales, and then rolled into, from copiers, dictation for dictaphone itself. Did that a few years, and then got caught into the web of telecom and been in that web since 95, and been with this company, which is now Windstream, since 1999, when it started out as Paytech, and then we got bought by them in 2011. Always in a direct sales role up until, I would say, about 5 years within the Windstream role. I was a sales manager for a sales team of about 8. And then from that, in the last 10 years, I've been strictly in the sales training role.
So you're not one of the sales trainers who's never really been in sales and is training people on theory, or what I'd say is theory, their theories, but actually you've made true application of a lot of these things that you teach, correct?
Yeah, it's funny. Yeah, it's funny you say that, because that's how I usually start off my classes, especially when it's a room of maybe 15, 20 people that don't know me. My first intro to them is Bob Wonderlin. I've never sold, but I probably read more books than all of you guys collectively in the room. I pause just to get the reaction, and then I usually ask them, so you ready to listen to me? Because they don't know me and it's a corporate environment. They're trying to be corporately friendly. They really get too much reaction. But it's nice then when I can tell them, no, I really did sell, and then give them the background I gave you.
Yeah,
so you have to have a play with that, because I've been part of trainings where that's usually my first question is, what does this person do that's standing in front of me? Are they marketing, or are they truly a sales professional?
Yeah, no, I think that's a very important asset to sales trainers. You've got to have lived the life. You've got to have walked the walk and talk the talk, right? It can't be just all theory. So, or reading books. Good point. I'm going to start using that one in my trainings.
Okay, good.
Do me a favor. Tell our audience something that they wouldn't know about you by looking at any of your social profiles. Something juicy.
Yeah, something good. I'm in the throes of it right now. I'm actually in a good season of it. So I've been an Eagles ticket holder since 1980.
Oh, wow. Okay.
So again, dating this myself a little bit, but we're going on my 37th year of going to the games and still looking for that big championship. So we'll see what happens this year. It's a good start.
Yeah.
But that would be something that no one would know, I don't think.
All right.
I've been going that long to pretty much all the games.
Well, next time I'm in your neck of the woods in the greater Philly area, you either got to take my colleague Bryn or you got to bring me with you.
There you go. All right.
Fantastic. Well, good. So, today, you and I were actually going to be talking about this particular topic on making President's Club. And I'm actually excited because you're going to be taking some time to talk about best practices from presentation to close, if I'm not mistaken. And really the best practices you've learned and you've gathered and you've seen from those that have been in the President's Club world. And we're going to be together at the STAR event, which is the Sales Team Alpine Retreat by Frost and Sullivan Executive MindXchange, which happens to be on February 7th through 9th, 2018. We're going to be there together. You're going to be talking about this topic. So I'm super excited, actually, because all of our listeners who are listening in right now, every salesperson wants to know, what is the secret sauce to making it a President's Club? What do I need to do to be able to be the cream of the crop, the creme de la creme, as they say? And I think you're going to share with us some different ways that you can be able to make it into President's Club and stay at P Club. Is that right?
Yes, that's it. It's a great topic.
So do me a favor. I love this topic of P Club. My background, everybody knows this. I've said this before, but it spent 18 years in corporate, and 15 of those 18 years were spent in President's Club or the 100% Club. So I've got a long history and something that I strived for when I was in corporate selling and as a leader. And I can tell you all 3 of those years what happened and why I didn't make President's Club, right? I know exactly what happened all 3 of those years and why I didn't do it. But you've got some techniques that we can talk about today that will help us become, better prospectors and also better prospectors to our existing account base. So let's talk a little bit about that. Talk a little bit about starting out with the prospecting. First off, we always talk about research. Research should be done walking into or before calling into any account. True? Not true? Or should we just pick up the phone and start pounding away? What do you teach?
Yeah, we teach those days are done, especially with the advent of LinkedIn. Once you have that monster working and be able to navigate the engine of LinkedIn, you don't have to spend hours and hours researching the account. So that's the big question we always get is how much time is too much? How much is too little? What's the right mix? You got to have the essentials though. So before you're calling somebody, I always say, know their business like you were going to buy it. So if I'm dealing with somebody that manages, say, 200 to 300 accounts, which is a normal person for, say, inside sales or an account manager managing a base of accounts, if I were to give them money and say, you know what, take some money or take your own money and you can only invest in one company out of all your base of accounts, which one would you invest in and why? Meaning that if they're all publicly traded, obviously. But for that scenario, they really have to know their business. It can't be, they have more technology with us. They have more T1s, PRIs, more locations with us. They spend more with us. I'll invest there. No, that's not the real reason. They have to know their true business, their business model, and how our solutions can help it. So at least know that to start. And then also know the person you're calling. Maybe a fun fact would be a door opener to what you did just with me. That might be enough. You go look where they went to college. Maybe there's something similar there. Definitely look at the most powerful thing to look at is second degree connections. People that you didn't know that know them. Look through them. Maybe there's a common connection there that can introduce you to that person. Because most of the people nowadays aren't picking up their phone, right? They're hiding behind the technology. However, you can have something engaging or follow them, follow their post, see what they're posting out there. Maybe it's a slow roll in the beginning. Maybe you start liking some of their things, start sharing their post. They see you doing that. And then you reach out with a comment or a question about what they're promoting within themselves or their business. So again, these are just the simple blocking and tackling things. But you're way behind the game if you're not doing it, because obviously some other people are.
So do you think that those that make it into President's Club, do you think it's a fluke, luck, or do you think that there is a sign? Like, what have you seen in terms of the science behind? Are the ones that are going to P Club that are doing it over and over and over again, are they doing it because they just have the great base of accounts, or is there actually a science as a national sales trainer for your organization? I'm sure you're looking at this and you're looking at the trends. What are the trends? What's the science behind this?
That's a good one too. So I use that in an interview question, actually. I say, so is selling a science or an art? And see where people go with that. I think it's a good blend of it. Mm-hmm. I think it is a science. And if you do the science right, all of a sudden it becomes your art form. It becomes an art. You're different. So I would say that whole definition of luck that I've heard before, right? When preparation meets opportunity, people start getting lucky. So I think it's a lot of the behind the scenes stuff. It's not the person in the office that's running around promoting themselves as being, I'm so busy. I got so much going on. I got so much on my plate. A lot of those people, they're not at the president's clubs. They're shouting, they're promoting themselves being busy versus the ones that do the behind the scenes stuff off hours, the things you don't see in the office. And same with you, making all those president's clubs. A lot of it was, my secret was I wanted to be better than everybody, but I didn't really want to let them know what I was doing behind the scenes. I was just doing it. I did not self-promote at all. And I see that too with the reps in the office where they have a clear day, meaning a lot of this prep is done off hours. It's not just a 9-to-5 job. And then all this preparation over time and sticking with something, not just saying, all right, this month I'm going to start this, actually make it a habit, right? And that's that whole, 20 to 22 days. You got to still do something over and over again.
Yeah.
So what reveals a lot about who's going to make President Club can be even deemed by just looking into somebody's calendar. So if I do coaching at the VP level or coaching at the sales manager level, a lot of questions I ask them about reps that aren't performing to see what's missing is let's look at their calendar. What's actually blocked in their calendar? Are these things that are uncomfortable blocked in the calendar as events, just like working out? Do you block it off that you're going to get it in versus at the end of the day, I don't have the time. So if you see prospecting not listed in the calendar event as block time, that's an issue. Then the second issue is, do they follow through? Or is it one of these block times that it's a catch-all? I block prospecting for a couple hours, Tuesday, 9 to 11, but I know back in my mind, if anything comes up, I'm almost looking for anything to come up, fills that spot. So you know what? Let me open up my instant message. Let me open up my door to my office. Let me leave my phone on. Let me leave any type of distraction possible because that'll get me out of something I don't want to do. Mm-hmm. The ones that make the club do the opposite.
Yeah, I like what you said there in terms of looking at calendars of reps. Now, what's interesting is when I was in the seat, everybody in my organization always opened up their calendar to me. So I had full visibility to the performers and the underperformers.
Yep.
And it wasn't a scenario of like, if you're not performing now, you have to open your calendar up so I can actually watch you. This is actually an opportunity for me to be able to see what the performers are doing and what the non-performers are doing. Do you think that's like a general best practice as a sales trainer and you're working with some of the VPs, the sales managers? Is this something that you suggest to them that go to your team, have your team open up their calendars, whether they're a performer or not, so that you can see and identify what are the trends that these performing reps are doing and what the trends that the non-performing reps are doing, and actually start applying some sort of scientific approach to spending their selling time. Is that something that you recommend?
Yeah, we recommend. And the issue is not that their calendars aren't open. Majority they're open. The issue is what you're talking about is, do they actually look at the calendar and can they deem any analytics on their own?
Yeah.
Do they go a little deeper than just saying, oh, okay, this is what the week looks like, and not ask any questions on the one-on-one? Like, how did you do? Any of those questions give accountability, and you're going to need accountability to have something over time sustain itself, especially if it's an unpleasant task that it gets you to achieve something very good.
Well, I like what you said, which was when you look at some of the sales reps who are overachievers or have achieved into the President's Club world, right? Sales President's Club, which sometimes is called Diamond Club, Pinnacle Club, whatever you want to call it, right? I don't care what you call it. It's the creme de la creme, the best of the best. One of the things you said to me that just like it triggered the memory. You ever watched one of those movies where the character puts something in their mouth? It's like a cartoon. They put something in their mouth and all of a sudden like the window, the bubble pops up and they're thinking of what, when they were a child and their mom did something for them.
Sure.
Yeah. So as soon as you said that we've looked at some of the performers and we see that they have prospecting time blocked off, that was exactly what happened. I felt like I was eating something and the bubble went on in the head here. But what I remember, especially back from my quota carrying individual rep days, was that I had two types of block offs. One was called admin time.
There you go.
And the other one was called prospecting time. And I did that at least twice a week throughout every single week. Now, granted, on the prospecting and admin time, they were anywhere between an hour to 2 hours because I felt like beyond that, I've got ADD. I don't know if I really have ADD, but I feel like I have ADD, but I can't pay attention beyond that, right? And be laser focused. Are you finding that when you segment your blocks of time to prospecting versus admin, do you recommend that? First off, do you recommend that they separate the two? And if so, what's the rule? Should we allow some of these other administrative things to come into the prospecting time? Like maybe it's proposals, like it's special pricing, maybe it's, follow up on an email, a customer service issue, a billing issue. Should we allow that to come into the prospecting time, or should they be separate, distinct times that you're spending time on?
Yeah, that's a great distinction. Yeah, what I was saying earlier is they allow that to happen because it's pleasing methods, not pleasing results to them.
Good point.
Very easy. So yeah, we definitely recommend to have chunk time for admin, chunk time for prospecting, and define what that is. And within the prospecting, set some goals. I mean, how many calls you're going to make, how many appointments you're going to set. Then maybe it's not enough time, for them to know their numbers. So over time, once they do prospecting, also know how many times it's going to take or how long it takes to do certain things. And the prospecting time is not used for all research time either. It's not researching for, say, 90 minutes of the 2 hours and only prospecting 30 minutes of it. It's using that time after you did the hard work outside of those hours, maybe off hours. And then the admin time, maybe if it's a big project they have to get done, again, because there's only so much brain power you want to put into something, maybe you just chunk it. You chunk the project down into small pieces. Or you find yourself just like maybe you start cleaning your house. You think, I'm just going to do one room. And then all of a sudden you start, hey, you know what? I might as well get another room done. So have it go that way instead. Start small. And if you find that you're getting through it, do a little bit more. But don't back out of the admin time either. But make them definitely separate.
So you said something that I think is super important, Bob, that people need to, whether you're a sales leader, sales rep, a business owner, or marketing supporting sales. You said that when you are taking this time to do prospecting, that it's not 90 minutes worth of research and 30 minutes worth of prospecting, assuming like a 2-hour window. What you said is take the prep work that you did in the off hours to actually start executing on your prospecting plan during the 2-hour block that you've got. Maybe it's a 1-hour block. Maybe it's a 30-minute block. It doesn't matter what the block is. It's whatever your prospecting block is. So don't do the prep work of who you're going to call, what you're going to say, what you're going to message out, what research you're going to do on LinkedIn or Twitter or whatever. Do that in the off hours so you've got what I would call a prospecting plan when it's time to actually get to prospecting. Is that correct?
That's correct. And you'll be excited. You should be excited. You put all that prep work in. That's like prepping for the NFL game on Sunday, right? You got a 3-hour game.
Yeah.
All that prep, all that time. You got to be excited once you're on the field. You'll be jacked up to be on those phone calls, setting appointments because you did all that hard work. It's going to pay off. So a couple of things popped in my head when we're talking about this. A stat I throw out there is if you get interrupted, any interruption costs you, a study that was done, 3 minutes. So just the course of a day, if you're interrupted 20 times, especially during your prospecting session, you just threw 60 minutes, an hour away. Know what your time's worth. Know what your goal is for the year, what you want to make. What is an hour worth to you if you were going to hit that goal? And keep a trash can next to you or keep a money out. And whatever that is, visually throw the money in the trash can next to you. Make it hurt. Make it hurt that if someone's going to interrupt you, that's costing you that amount of money. And the mental game of it too. So if you do go through a session, I talked about the mental aspect of sales a lot, is if you get down, if you get interrupted by a bad call, if you let a call come in and it's a customer complaint, which you might get, where does that take you mentally? All that prep work, you're way off your game. It's like the baseball player making the error in the first inning and then keeping that error in his head the whole rest of the game. You can't. You got to clear it out. So I ask them too is mentally, what do you do? The prep. And then once you're in the call, even if everything goes perfect, you don't get interrupted, but you don't have success on those calls, those first 5 to 10 calls. What do you do mentally to break that state of this self-talk, the negative self-talk? And that can go right down. That can spiral so quickly out of control. It could start out, you know what? First hour is not going to be good. Then it could be, you know what? Maybe it's just maybe it's one of these days. Then it can snowball to, this prospecting thing never works. And it goes, you know what? I don't get any leads in the office. So-and-so's lucky. And then all of a sudden, you're so far off your game because you're just letting the mental self-talk get in the way. So there's a lot of different techniques you can do there just to block that or stop it and put you right in the right frame of mind, peak performance frame of mind.
You said the key word there, peak performance. But you know what's interesting? Let me ask you a question. You obviously alluded to sports. Why is it that the arena, the spectators, why do they heckle the other team? The competitor that's usually out in the outfield, using baseball. Why are they always heckling those folks out in the outfield?
Yeah, they want to rattle them, right? They want to take them off their game. They want to get in their head, do whatever it takes.
They want to get in their head, rattle them, take them off their game, distract them, right? It's the whole concept of distraction. So when we go to the sports games, we may be heckling, we may be booing, we may be, clapping loud when they're trying to do their plays. And as a direct result, we try to take them off their game. I like to think of distractions, phone calls, emails, notification alerts. Those are all things that are heckling me.
That's a good way to look at it.
Yeah. Taking me off my game, right? They're pulling me away. And it's interesting when I'm on meetings, this device, for those of you who can't see him, I'm with Bob and I'm holding up my device in the air. But this device, I turn it over so I cannot see the screen. And I put it on silent. I don't want to see the screen because the moment I see the screen and I'm on a call, I'm talking to somebody, what am I going to do, Bob? If it lights up, by the way. But if I see the screen and it lights up, what am I going to do?
You're going to look.
I'm going to get distracted, right? So I got to turn that bad boy over. I turn off all of my notifications, right? You gave a stat that takes 3 minutes. I was just at a conference this past week and someone said the recent stat they heard that when you are distracted, when you're working on a particular project, it takes you on average 22 minutes to be able to get back into the groove. And I thought, wow, it does take me a good few minutes to be able to get back into my groove. I don't care if it's 3 minutes or I don't care if it's 20 minutes. The reality is it's somewhere in between, or let's just say it's 3 minutes. At a minimum, it's taking you off your game and you got to be focused. And I think that's what we would call those that are the President's Club earners, right? Those that are the President's Club achievers. They're on their game and they're focused.
Yes.
They deliver. They don't let other things take their time and pull them away. You talked about one other thing, which is getting into the right mindset before prospecting and before making outreach. I want to talk about that right after we take this 1 minute break from our program sponsor. So we'll be right back.
Sounds good.
I'm excited to mention Vengreso's partnership with Frost Sullivan on the launch of the Sales Team Alpine Retreat, STAR for short. Vengreso is proud to be a partner for the event, and I'll also be presenting a session on digital selling strategies and tactics. If you're not already familiar with Frost Sullivan's STAR Executive MindXchange, you're missing an amazing opportunity to participate in what will be the most important sales leadership think tank ever. I encourage you to join us at STAR February 7th through the 9th, 2018 in Lake Tahoe, Nevada. As an event partner, we're super excited to extend a $250 savings to all Vengreso event attendees. For more information, please visit frost.com/Vengreso. That's frost.com/Vengreso. Vengreso. All right, Bob, right before we took that break, what we were talking about was getting into the right mindset. Right? And you talked about this peak performance mindset. What is a peak performance mindset for a salesperson?
Yeah, good question. So a great mentor for me is Gerhard Geschwander.
Yeah.
If I said his last name correctly.
Gerhard Schwantner.
Okay. Thank you. Selling Power Magazine. So I've taken his peak performance mindset train the trainer.
You're a graduate of that as well.
I'm a graduate too.
Okay, but so am I. All right, yes. Gerhard's a very good friend of mine, and we've got a very strong partnership with Selling Power.
It's been a great tool for myself. I personally went through it. So I had told him that recently. I said, you know what? For me to now promote it, why not me get involved in it? So it results in a 90-day journal. And the 90-day journal, why not? I started on my 50th birthday, June 21st this year.
Nice.
And ended it was in September. So it was June, July, August, I guess that would be.
Yeah.
September 21st, right around that.
Yeah.
And in that, I was able to achieve so much just within those months. And it's self-regulation of your self-talk. It starts with, what are your goals and dreams? Do you have those written out? What are some of your mindset? What is implanted from you from your childhood days, right? What kind of inspired mindset are you building for yourself? Who's an inspiration to you? Who are people that you're modeling or mentoring you. Then you take it into self-actualization of your goals and dreams. What do you do on a daily basis to declutter your mind, really? So if thoughts come in, how do you take those thoughts and don't attach to them, especially if they're negative? The stats are astounding. There's 60,000 thoughts that you think in a day, right? And I think the stat was 80% are negative.
Yeah, exactly.
And to overcome that, you need a 3-to-1 ratio. You need 3 positive thoughts to every negative to overcome that. So if you just think about what the world, unfortunately, is going against that. You have everything stacked against you. So if you think of a typical day, you start out in the morning, and in the morning you wake up to the morning news, which is usually not good, right? And then you could have something going in on the way to work, and then you go back to those self-talk. It's one of these days. So for you to be right, the only thing you have to do is look for things that will make you right. People want to be right. So if you say it's going to be one of these days, the only things you're looking throughout that day is things that are negative that happen to you. So you can say, I told you it's going to be one of these. You could have 10 great things happen that day, but you're going to come home and collect the 2 to 3 negative things just to prove yourself right, unfortunately. And then you replay the same scenario out to somebody else. Maybe you talk to them how hard your day was, just to relive all the pain. And then you end the night with the evening news, which is probably nothing better than the morning.
You're listening to what kind of crazy mess is going on in the world.
That's right. A lot of the uncontrollable. So throughout all of that, there is a way to break that. You be in a small percent. You'd probably be in the top, 3 to 5% of the population. You'll be different, but you're going to be so much more effective because, again, your mind's going to be clear going into any type of event. So this was Dean from, 30-some plus years. He's been doing the Selling Power magazine.
Yeah, 1982 or 84, something like that.
Something like that. Interviewed thousands of folks, top performers, of athletes, business people, everybody, and has distilled what's made them the best and has packaged it into a program where you can actually take it and apply it and get me pretty quick results.
Yeah. So I agree with you. One thing you said was those that are in the peak performers club, president's club, pinnacle club, diamond club, silver, whatever you want to call it, platinum, have their goals and dreams written out. Now, I've talked about this before on other podcasts where every year, still to this day in January, I redo my whiteboard. My whiteboard, I think it's 15 PowerPoint slides long. And that whiteboard spells out not just the material things of what I want to accomplish, but it actually includes things that are both material, physical, of course, that's material, emotional, mental, but not just what I want out of life and my why, but it includes my wife's why. It includes what my children want. And namely, my children, all they care about is spending time with dad or getting those little trading cards that they have or playing Minecraft or something like that. But it includes their why too, right? So I think that's super important. And when I started doing that, and I started doing with my sales teams, with the sales organizations, and everyone was required to present that. Now you can develop what's called that accountability partner, that somebody else can hold you accountable to what it is that you're trying to achieve, your goals, your aspirations. And you also said one other thing that I think is super important, and we talked about this on, as part of our podcast here in terms of what makes a top performer. When I was in the seat, and still to this very day, the only news that I watch is stuff that I choose to go and look at on search on Twitter, as an example, or Facebook, various different news articles. I don't want to watch any of the other stuff that's going to take me away from what I'm focused on, which is delivering on a goal. Yes. Because it just takes too much. It takes too much brain power to be unfocused to where I really want to go. So I think those are really two super important things that if you don't know, and then for all the listeners, if you don't know where you want your business to be next year, shame on you. You need to have that goal, not just of where it's at to where you want it to be in terms of your quota, or maybe the revenue that you want to grow if you're a business owner. But you need to know how you're going to top that, how you're going to beat that, how you're going to exceed that. And here's the other thing that in terms of my secret that I used to use. We had some great sales peers that were in the organizations that I worked for. Phenomenal. But most oftentimes, they didn't know until I told them that I was actually competing against them every single day. Right? Every day. If I found out that they landed a big deal, guess what? When they did a $30 million deal, I was looking for my $36 million deal, right? Sure. When they landed a phenomenal meeting or a sales call, guess what I'm going to do? I'm going to land 2 more. And I competed against them, right? I had to benchmark myself against somebody else in terms of developing my peak performance mindset to get into President's Club 15 out of those 18 years that I was in corporate. Does that make sense?
Oh, yeah. That's spot on.
And I think a lot of folks forget how important it is to document your whys, like your goals and your dreams, your aspirations. But again, going back to, it's not just mine, it's everybody who I represent, my children, my significant other, their dreams and their goals and their aspirations. Because if you think about that backpack now that you were carrying, I'm holding up my arms right here, pretend I'm holding my backpack. If it was just mine, it's only yay heavy. But now add on top of that your wife's or your husband's.
Sure.
Oh man, boom, it just got a little heavier. Now put on top of that your children. Oh man, it just got, whatever it might be, you got to stack that on and you got to climb Mount Everest with that giant backpack and all their aspirations, goals, dreams, and wishes on your back and take the hill on that one. That's kind of my perspective on that.
Yeah, that whole vision board is so powerful. I've done exercises in offices actually where I've taken a couple hours of my own time and got together with the manager and the reps of the team. And we spent a couple hours just cutting and pasting, printing things, and they created their own vision boards for themselves after doing a session on goal setting. And they found, again, that they got to know so much more about their people and the whys behind the money. So it's not just, all right, make more calls. You need more of this. That's manager talk, right? Where's the leadership talk? Where's the coaching talk to that? If they don't have that information, it's hard to have a conversation of their whys. So if they can deliver and have one-on-one coaching around the whys of their folks and know their dreams and aspirations, you're going to cut to the core of these people and get them, run through walls for you. So everyone wins.
Well, a great example is when I first took over the global accounts sales organization. It was a $300 million a year organization. The first thing I did was I brought in all the client account directors and I said, all right, I need you to give your whiteboards, present your whiteboards. Now, this was actually really uncomfortable for a lot of people. It was a requirement. And they didn't want to tell me this is something very personal. It was a requirement. I didn't care. It was a requirement. You had to present. I remember this was Robin. Robin presented that she wanted to open up a bed and breakfast in Brazil. Now, this bed and breakfast, this idea she had, we knew that she loved Brazil because she had gone to Brazil every single year for like 5 to 6 weeks for I don't know how many years that I could remember. She was learning Portuguese, right? So she was, and this was like 10 years in the making. She had this real passion. So I knew this was real. So she says she presented this whiteboard and it was to open up a bed and breakfast. And I asked her, I said, okay, that's fantastic. By when will you do it? She didn't answer. How much money will it cost to be able to do that? She didn't have an answer. Where exactly do you want to do this at? She didn't have an answer. So what did we decide to do? Everybody had to go back and apply those when, where, how, why type of questions. And she came back, round 2, presented her whiteboard, showed how much it was going to cost, extra $250,000. She figured out where approximately she wanted to make it happen. And she set a goal for a 5-year-long plan to be able to make an extra $250,000. So in the middle of the meeting, I said to her, all right, I love it. Fantastic. But we're not going to do it in 5 years. We're going to do it in 2. And she was like, how are you going to tell me that my dream, my plan of 5 years is not going to be done in 5, is going to be done in 2? I said, because we're going to figure out what deal we need to close so that we can turn around and work backwards into it. And no joke, 1 year, 1 week later, we put out a mission, a strategy plan to close a very, very, very large contract with one of the largest oil and gas companies globally. And we signed a $45 million contract.
Oh, sweet.
$45 million. And I will tell you, it was having that whiteboard in front because there was 1,001 times, Bob, that we wanted to walk away from this deal. 1,001 times. Sure. Everything that could prevent us internally and externally was against us. And yet we ended up delivering on that contract. And we both ended up walking away when they were doing rounds of layoffs. We decided to take our year-long plus severance packages, which was a phenomenal opportunity. But so she never got to open up the bed and breakfast within 2 years. But imagine if she had stayed, what could have happened. So It was actually a really good thing. But that's a real true life story for those people that are listening out there that are wondering, like, does it really work? The answer is yeah, it really does. Hey, Bob, I want to switch gears and just get your thoughts on techniques that you use to teach reps at Windstream, things that are most effective to maximizing sales opportunities from your appointments. And I think this is an important quality to kind of tease out here when we talk about P Club earners or P Club achievers. Talk a little bit about that. Some of the discovery techniques that you teach reps on how to maximize their sales opportunities from individual appointments.
Sure. And that's where we find the missing link a lot of times. especially when we attend appointments. The ideal is seeing them actually in action, attending appointments and seeing what they do. We'll find a lot of them will ask not the challenge question, the ones that don't make it. The ones that do make it, ask those inquisitive challenge questions. Mm-hmm. And the good old who, what, when, why, where, tell me more, please explain, the open-ended versus close-ended questions. Now, a lot of them will say, well, I'll ask a close-ended question and they'll still give me an open-ended answer. Why are you picking on every little question? Well, it's like breaking a habit of anything, right? You're breaking a habit. It's not like, oh, I only smoke when I'm at the bar. You got to cut it all out, right? If that's the habit you want to break. So break the close-ended, open-ended question. Keep track of yourself. Again, it's accountability. It's hard to see that in the moment when you're doing it. Once you start down that path, then it's, are you logically in sequence with your next best question? If you ask a good open-ended question, they give you feedback. Are you drilling down deep enough into whatever feedback you get? And that goes into a technique we call ruining. And ruining really is, what don't they like about their current provider? Whatever that answer is, not filling in the blanks for them. For example, in our world, telecom, and probably a lot of other sales environments. What don't you like about your current provider? Customer service. I'm on hold forever. My bill I can't understand. We have outages, or maybe delivery's not on time, whatever their product is. It's then going a little further and monetizing that, getting them to explain and ruin the competition themselves. Well, so tell me the last time that happened. What exactly happened? Have them relive the pain again. Once they explain that to you, then you could say, well, what was the impact on your business? Okay. And you get that answered. So what would you say that cost you? Now, if they had an issue with us, they're always asking for credits. They know the exact amount, and it's usually a big amount. So they're going to know those answers. Go far and deep with all those type of questions to help you out there. And then another technique we add in this space of probing is we call QAA. It's question, answer, acknowledge. It seems simple, but a lot of the people miss the acknowledge part. They'll ask a good question. It could be open-ended. They'll give them a nice answer. But then in their head, they're thinking, what's my next question? And they totally forget the acknowledge part of acknowledging what the person said. And this is a true life story. I was in an appointment, and next to me, the rep was sitting and the prospect was on the other end of the table. And I saw her taking hash marks down. Every question the person would ask, I didn't know what they were about. But then I noticed every question he asked, she was taking a little tick mark. She must have had 30, 40 ticks on her piece of paper. What that was, believe it or not, was she was taking no notes as a prospect. This rep, unfortunately, was asking so many questions close-ended without acknowledgement that it got to be like an interrogation. And for whatever reason, that was her way to pass time. It's like, I can't believe how many questions I'm getting asked. Because each time he asked a question, she took a mark. And she would barely give any, but that's a dramatic example, but it was a good learning experience for the rep. So that's on the probing end of things. There's another thing I like to talk about. It's called, I label it stab. Don't stab at information. And this is a great coaching tool. So how this works is, say you have an appointment and your manager is now debriefing you on the appointment that maybe the manager wasn't on. How'd the appointment go? Yeah, it went great. So tell me, when do they need it by? The solution. Well, I suppose they need it by the end of the fourth quarter. That's the S in stab. It could be, so what's the decision-making process in this? You'll start catching on. I think they're going to decide. I think it goes to the CIO, and I think that's it. And then the A is assume, and the B is, well, I believe it's, I believe they're out of their contract. All these things are an indication of not asking the right questions on the appointment and just guessing and plugging things in. And the people that unfortunately sometimes are the ones that have more tenure get caught up in this. Because the more tenure, they've seen the movie play out so many times, they just fast forward right through it. Oh, they know how things are just because they've been in the industry that long. Sometimes the newer reps that I work with that engage in this process and use it as a best practice, don't know any different. They're actually better in the process than the reps that have been there a while.
That was phenomenal insights. I really appreciate that. And I'm super excited because you're actually going to get real deep into this topic in February at the Lake Tahoe event, at the STAR event, February 7th through the 9th, if I'm not mistaken, at the Hyatt Regency Resort, Spa, and Casino in Lake Tahoe, Nevada.
Yeah, another bad spot to go.
It's going to be a great spot to go. So for those of you that are listening in, make sure you visit frost.com/Vengreso and take a look at what we are going to be doing with Frost. Bob will be speaking there all about these best practices from years of training and experience. And I'm super excited to hear this particular presentation. Bob, do me a favor. Before we go, I always like to ask all my guests one question. Your all-time favorite movie of all time, what is it?
Yeah, that's always a tough question for me. There's a couple that jog in my head. This time of year, I always like Christmas Vacation, but that can't be an all-time. I've liked the Batman, one of the Batmans, but I think who beats it out is the one that comes up. I like sharing with my kids too. It's just a really good story. Shawshank Redemption comes up.
Ah, okay.
It's one of my favorites.
All-time favorite. Well, there you have it. Shawshank Redemption from the Bob Wonderlin. Bob, this has been a fantastic conversation. I want to thank you for joining me on Selling with Social, and we will see you in February at the STAR event with the rest of the Frost team.
Great. Looking forward to it.
Thanks, buddy, for joining me.
Thank you.
Thanks so much for joining me on that episode of Selling with Social. I hope you found as much value in that episode as I did. Here's what I want you to do next. Please go to www.vengreso.com. That's VENGRESO.com. VENGRESO.com. And make sure that you get access to our content. We've got the latest and greatest in digital sales, sales training, content marketing, and social selling strategies that are going to help you grow your sales pipeline. I look forward to having you on the next show of Selling with Social. Make sure you also go to vengreso.com/podcast to be able to get access to the latest and greatest Selling with Social episodes, along with any of the other episodes that we've got from Social Business Engines with my friend and partner, Bernie Borges, along with Conversations with Phil with my friend and partner, Phil Gerbishak. Thanks again for joining on Selling with Social.